It has been entirely far, far too long since I did a keyboard review. I want to start getting back to them if I can. This is a MCHOSE or MCHOSE. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce it, but I've seen their boards quite a bit, and they seem to be pretty popular in the premium space. These guys here sent this over to me. It's actually using Hall effect sensors. So I guess that would be a magnetic switch, Hall effect sensor keyboard. That's going to give you tactility, but what it's also going to give you is, well, first of all, you're not going to get as much wear, you're going to get more precision. If you know about Hall effect, magnetic type sensors, essentially as the key passes over a magnetic type sensor, it will then activate based on magnetic sensors, pretty straightforward, rather than having to physically actuate a switch. So it's going to be faster and more precise. This one here is obviously going to be fantastic for typing. As a result, it's very premium feeling. It's going to be pretty dense as well. It also does have something called a rapid trigger, which I haven't tried. And that's supposed to essentially help with, if you're doing like FPS shooters, get quicker response to the key, basically. So it's going to be something obviously that's going to be very appealing towards gamers, especially FPS style gamers. So here's a look at the different models here. They're aluminum, so they're going to be anodized aluminum in terms of the color. They look lovely. That champagne looks incredibly nice. They call it, that's black gold, that's what I have today. Aero silver looks fantastic. Cyber violet is purple with a see-through. Champagne is incredible. That's probably my personal preference. And then there's pink looks nice too, of course. I mean, they all look nice. They do use a pink magnetic switch. They're using a Hall effect magnetic switch. If it was a standard tactile keyboard, you would have to wait for the actual response of that mechanical switch. Here you don't have to do that. It's just basically magnet on, magnet off, and it's also adjustable as well, and it's not going to wear down over time. Now, some of the incredible specs here, if you install their software, you get 16K polling rate, which is crazy. Even if you don't do that, you still get very, very, very high polling rate. The latency is so low that it's not even like a real number. There is no latency essentially, and incredible precision. Precision is very important on this because you are going to tweak it depending on what your use case is for that moment. What am I talking about there? Well, there's 3 modes you can preset. There's a full software suite. I'll show you in this video. There's a full software suite. Here they just have some examples like Valorant, Delta Force, and office work, which is pretty standard. Like I would set up, one for office work with a very standard actuation point right in the middle. I would potentially have one that's very low and one that's very high, just depending on what game I'm playing. For me, I don't play either of these games, but I would have, an online shooter or maybe an RTS. And then I would potentially have, a single player game, which would be more standardized. So it's very cool that you can do that. I'll show you that in this video. Very premium, actually. It's a really nice cable. There you go. That's the key switch there. Cherry style connector with the full layout so that it does help reduce dust and just basically gunk getting in there. It also helps with stability. If it's just the actual pillar, the cherry, connector there, then normally you get some instability in there. We don't have that here. That feels very smooth. No tactility, no tactile bump, obviously. You can see there's a magnetic sensor. As it goes down, it senses it. Up, no. So once it gets to the spot, it's going to actually be detected by the keyboard, the magnetic sensor in the keyboard, and it's going to then actuate. So that's nice. These should have essentially, well, really, almost infinite type lifespan. Of course, eventually, at some point, that spring will wear out eventually. But, we're not looking at a mechanical switch that can physically wear out. Right? That's actuating based on magnetic sensor. So really, until you break the keycap somehow, if you're pounding on it, or of course, if the spring eventually wears, everything wears over time. Look at that. It's got weight to it. It's pretty heavy actually, and it's a metal design. So it's not like why is it so heavy? Well, it's heavy because it's metal. So we can see that. This is the dark color. They have multiple colors. We can look at those, of course. It's quite nice. You do have a natural wedge shape, so it's going to be good ergo just for typing without raising it up or anything like that. You get a nice natural wedge shape for typing. And of course the keyboard does have that curvature to it, which means you're going to naturally feel the difference in the different levels. Function keys up here are going to be raised up quite a bit over the typing keys down here. And of course your more accessory keys there. So that nice wedge is there. Very nice kind of design there. this metal, of course. Just, I mean, it's a premium keyboard, so they're going to put some accents in there, just to make it look nice. You get the nice cut there, 1, 2, 3 step cut there. Very nice. Premium on the back there. That's the rapid button. We're going to have to try that, which is supposed to help it be more rapid. Essentially, if you're playing shooters and you want, kind of like hair triggers, I guess I'd call it hair triggers on a controller. A hair trigger reduces the time required to fire the weapon in the game. So, for moving in this case, or getting into that kind of stuff, you're going to be essentially reducing the latency. Not necessarily latency of the keyboard itself into your device. There should be very little, but the latency of a human being, pressing the button and going down. USB-C connection. And then just a really nice design. I know a lot of people who actually present their boards, like one of my friends, Ferdinand. He takes some of the boards off me because I can't keep everything, obviously. And he has a really nice presentation set up of boards. Yeah, it looks nice. It's a very, very aesthetic. Again, a little weight to it, which is nice. I do not want a light keyboard by any means. Decent enough printing on it. Looks nice. Standard. Very standard. Very nice. 65%, so you do get dedicated numbers, but no dedicated functions. So you're going to have to, go function to get into function keys. But it's also not a really crushed down keyboard. So as a result, you do get dedicated arrow keys, insert, delete, page up, page down. Very important for me. Functions, I don't actually use function keys that often, so that's no problem for me. But I do very much need to have arrow keys for navigating menus and things like that in games, but also navigating spreadsheets, page up, page down. That kind of stuff is really important. So that's nice. Okay. By the way, this keycap puller is extremely premium. It's actually metal. And it's got a good weight to it. This is an extremely premium keycap and key switch puller. Shockingly premium. Usually people just throw in some plastic thing. Bolts there. It's really cool. That's really nice. Anyways, that's fine. So we're just going to kill that off there. So we can have a quick look at it. RGB, shine around the key and through the actual keycap, so that's good. If you're playing in a really dark room, I'm going to leave some lighting on, of course, but if you're playing in a really dark room, that's going to help quite a bit. Lighting on the side is lovely. RGB built into the side of that, of course. Okay, so I'm getting it set up here. You can go to their website, and they tell you, well, it's over here. You get information such as the guide if need be. You can also access their MCHOSE hub. Coming over here. Now you can install the software onto your computer, or you can use it in the browser. Looks like the only difference here is that, if you want this audio type stuff, it's your choice. If you just want to use it in the browser, you can do that. If you don't want to install software, so you can go like that. Go like so. And it's going to say, do you want browser access? I'm going to say, sure, it's fine. And that's fine. And there it is. So it knows that it's detected. Sorry, it detects it and knows that it's connected. And holy smokes, is there a lot of stuff in here. Wow, okay. I was going to go through here and explore, but let's just look at it together. There's so much in here. So we have onboard config 1, 2, and 3. Custom, cloud, official, pro settings. Holy crap, look at all this stuff. Oh, specifically for games. So what these people use. I do not watch esports. I am aware of them. So these, you want what they use, you can use their kind of stuff. Or we can customize ourselves. We can create it. Lighting, trigger control. Oh, there's a lot of stuff in here. Holy crap, this is going to get pretty interesting. Lighting effects. Okay. So, surging tide. Let's kind of zoom out a little bit here so you can actually see it. Surging tide. Colorful fountain. Galaxy roam. That looks cool. Lighting pulsation. I'm kind of like a standard color person, so this is kind of more for me. Starlight. I mean, that's pretty cool. Instant flash. Melody piano. Fireworks. Pew, pew, aurora mapping. That's kind of nice. Spiral. Raining. I mean, there's so many. I don't know. Let's go with light pulsation. Come in here, bookmark this, and I can come here, I can quickly and rapidly flip through things here. That's nice. Lighting effects, you can just literally turn it on or off. That literally turned off the keyboard. Very good. Turn it back on. Brightness and speed. You can come in here, slow it down, speed it up. Color palette. So if I went with, custom and just went static or something like that, go add, change it how you want, make it custom. Color palette, turn that on, make it different colors, whatever, and then change it over here. So many different options. There's your arrow keys and that's cool if you're just gaming, right? You could have all your macros and that kind of stuff up there. Set it up how you want, whatever you want to do. So you can get the colors that you want. Trigger we'll get into a second. Key config, you can actually, let's go a little further here. Get some lighting changes, make them so that they're doing macros. You can change it so that, this button when held with function adds a new item or goes back or makes things brighter or darker. You can change them as needed. So you can come in here and say like, if I hit function E, I want it to do, I don't know, Windows settings center, whatever, something like that, right? Very cool. So you can actually set up the functions of the keyboard in here to do more. You can see over here. So if I don't want it to be the default, if I wanted function and one to not be a function key, I want it to be something else, I can do that. That's good. Oh, there's so much stuff here. Performance stuff, sleep, never sleep, very good. We have our polling rate. If you install the driver, so it comes default as up to 8K. If you do install the driver, the USB driver here, it will unlock then 16K. You can actually come in here and customize response time. Windows key lock if you don't want Windows, depending on most cases you're gonna want that turned off. You can also just do it with a macro. But it can be quite effective to have that turned off so you don't accidentally hit Windows in the middle of a game and have that thing pop up in the middle of your game and just get yourself completely screwed. But you can actually come in here and you can customize these to actually have different amounts of actuation distance. So you can come in here, we can pick the switch we have. So we came with pink. It doesn't know what switch we have. There's no way of it possibly knowing that. Unless it had some type of like QR, like some kind of weird sensor or something, but it doesn't know. So that's the sensor that's the switch that it has. I'm telling it. And then we're going to calibrate it here. Preparing. Do not press any keys. Okay, I will not. Calibration. Place the keyboard on a flat non-metal surface. Do not move it during the press. Press keys fully several times. So what does it want me to press? Oh, it's going to ask me, so I can do it. Merp, 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 merp. Merp, 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 merp. Calibrated, non-calibrated. And it looks like they already are calibrated. Very good. So you can calibrate it as you go. Now, of course, you can change. So I could make it so it actuates lower. So if you don't necessarily know what this means, if you had a mechanical switch, like physically a mechanical switch, there's actually like, let's say, you press down, it gets to the point, that's where it actuates, right there. Some switches actuate here. Some switches actuate here. Some switches actuate here. Some up top. So for some different keyboards, if you get a very high actuation point, like almost the moment you press the key, you've already actuated it. So you've actuated it, meaning all that press below is just extra press. So if you're a really light presser, you can have it at the very top. So you're just barely touching the key and it's activating it. Sometimes you want to actuate or activate the key. So it actually inputs it at the very bottom. So you want it so that, nothing's happening, boom, now all of a sudden it's happening. Sometimes you want the opposite. So it's like, all right, keys pressed, and that's just extra. So you can decide, do I want it to actuate at the very top up here? So I'm going to be very light. Right, I'm going to be very, very light on here. Just almost kind of going through there floating. Like I'm just barely touching the keys. I'm quick. I'm a quick hand gamer. I don't want to necessarily have to bottom out the key every time. I want it to actuate right at the top so I can be fast, super fast. Just barely touching the key. You're just barely touching the keys. And all of a sudden you're moving. If you're a very fast gamer, that's the type of thing. I'm a heavy-handed boy, so I want it to be down there. Because I'm heavy-handed, I don't accidentally want to like just gently touch the key, just ever so gently touch the key there. You're moving it just a tiny little bit, and all of a sudden it's actuated. That would be up here. I tend to press a little bit harder. So for me, I would want it middle or actually down below. And I'm actually going to test this right now. So let's come in here. We're going to go W, like game, and then the third one could be just for typing, like typing up essays. And maybe you're a heavy typer. So you want it to actuate at the very bottom. right? Something like that, because otherwise you're going to gently press on these keys by accident and actuate them when you don't want them to. Or maybe you're a light typer. Touch typist, very light. Maybe you don't even bottom out the keys, right? You're not even bottoming out when you're typing. You're basically just pressing the keys. And in that case, you would actually want the opposite. You would go over here and you'd want these things to be very light. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to make all these, I'm going to go keys for full. The bottom one is going to be for a heavy-handed typer, like so. Very heavy. Okay. And then for number 2 is going to be my light situation. Go keys for all. I'm going to make it very light. Very good. There's also sensitivity type stuff. It's going to detect when you have released it, basically. This quick trigger as well is essentially when you're playing games, it's supposed to help with improving speed, essentially. So that's really cool. Okay, so this looks good. This is such a weird setup that I've done here, but I think we're going to be okay here. Now I can test it and see what feels comfortable to me. So remember, we set some of these heavy and some of them high up and some of them low. See that? See how far I had to go down there? No, no, no. There it goes. Boom. How about this one over here? Okay. Now let's come over here. We'll go back to that one mode over here. So those are all the same. This one here, we changed it. So we made 2 light, 2 top, 2 bottom. So this one, it'll be almost the moment I touch it, it'll start actuating. Look at that. Barely touching the key. Barely touching the key. Just ever so gently touching it down. It's going like, what did we set it to? 0.5 millimeters, 0.55 millimeters. So it's barely traveling and it's actuating, right? Same with this one up here. Boom, barely touching it, barely touching it. See that? Now these ones require much further. Watch that. Still not actuating, still not actuating, still not actuating, still not actuating, still not actuating. Oh, I accidentally touched that one. Look at that. Still, no, 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 no. And going all the way to the bottom. Going all the, there it is. Boom. And that's how I set it, right? I set it right at the bottom. So this one I have to bottom out the key. Bottom out the key. I have to commit to make that thing actuate. These ones, I'm just touching it. Just right? So you can think of scenarios where this would be useful, right? These up here, right? I set them so they're very gentle, right? If Q is a thing, like I have to commit, and like, no, I don't want to accidentally hit the Q key. Right? I don't want to be like, oops, I breathed on it and it actuated. I'm like, no, I want to press the damn key if I want to actuate it, right? E over here. Maybe that's another hotbar, another special thing, right? I don't want to just accidentally touch it and something happens. I want to have to commit to that press, right? Maybe I'm playing Diablo and these are my like potions or something like that, right? Or my skills, right? And I just want to be able to touch it, right? Like I don't want to have to come over here and press that down every single time. I just want to be able to touch ever so lightly touch the key and that skill is going to activate. Okay, so now let's just give it a quick typing test. Now I could set it to mode 1, which was that weird mixed one. I'm not going to do that. That's for gaming. I could set it to mode 2, which was the top where you're going to be just basically gently touching the keys and they're going to actuate. If you're a very light touch typist, that'd be good. If you go with 3, that's more for somebody like me who's maybe a little heavy. You have to bottom out the key, but I always bottom out the keys when I type anyway, so that'll be fine. So of course it's not just a keyboard for gaming, it's obviously meant for typing. So let's give it a quick typing test here. Yeah, it's an excellent keyboard. I mean, honestly, for typing, it's going to be fantastic. It has a nice natural wedge shape to it, so it feels very ergonomic to type on. You get that natural curve to it, as I've already discussed, is very nice for typing. You have very nice feeling keycaps, nothing wrong with that. The switch is quite nice. It's obviously not a tactile switch. If you like tactile, you'd want that. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. It's right in the middle. It's a very just right in the middle type experience for that. Now, of course, because it is an all aluminum chassis, it feels very dense. So the actual typing experience, bottoming out, feels fantastic. It sounds very nice, obviously. The resonance of the keyboard itself sounds incredible when you're typing on it. It feels incredible to type on it too. So who's going to buy this keyboard, right? It's not the cheapest keyboard in the world. If you wanted a cheap keyboard, you'd get some plastic thing, right? But it's justified in really everything that it does. So let's just talk about it as a keyboard outside of the gaming side of it. Well, you have a very premium design, lots of different options. This is just the matte black. It's obviously a very premium aluminum chassis, so it feels nice. It looks nice. The key switches that I have here feel very nice. It's kind of a middle ground. Feels quite nice. The typing sound, the acoustics are lovely on the keyboard, obviously. You still have the compactness of it. Okay, so that's the typing experience, obviously quite nice. Very, very robust. So just from a typing standpoint, all aluminum chassis, visually appealing, acoustically appealing, and tactile. Like actually coming into typing the thing is really nice. Okay, then we can talk about the gaming side of it. I mean, obviously, you have the ability of that extremely high polling rate. As long as you use the dedicated cable, you're going to be eliminating latency. You're going to be reducing the speed at which you're going to be increasing the speed and reducing the delay at which the keyboard registers what you're doing, right? And if you like, for me, okay, I'm playing some generic games, not a big deal. But if you're a competitive gamer, if you are playing esports and you are competitive, these things actually do matter. But they're also meaning that you can then customize them. You can't do that with a mechanical switch. A mechanical switch is a mechanical switch. It comes with everything pre-baked into it. The actuation point is the actuation point. You get what you get, right? If it actuates at that point, no matter what you do, it's going to be, that's the key. You have to switch out the key switch to change that. On here, you can decide where each thing is going to be.